Okay, it being 7:11, we will start the meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone for being here. The Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to ask the President of the Torrance Teachers Association, Deb DeBush, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, report of closed session items, we don't have any. We need to adopt the agenda, but Dr. Mannon is pulling something.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 12.7 is pulled from tonight's agenda. It will come back to the board at a later date.
Good, thank you. Staff presentation and information, report from the Torrance Council of PTAs.
Hello there. Excuse my attire here. I have a softball game in like 20 minutes.
Oh, good.
So I'll be running out of here quickly. So as it's hard to believe we're in the month of November, and that means that holiday season is coming up, which means that we are going to be in our heart of our donation drive for the holidays. December 4th is our Torrance Council PTA Luncheon, to where we have our donations dropped off. And at this time for Project Hope, we'll be collecting food donations like peanut butter and jelly, cereal, mac and cheese, all the necessities that is required to fill the holiday boxes that we'll be packing, as well as all the personal care items we need: shampoo, soap, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush, all that stuff. As well as we also work together with the Torrance Fire Department and Torrance Police Department in collecting brand new toys, as they will be collecting those and handing it out to the needy students and the families out in the city of Torrance. Also, during our luncheon, we also have a raffle, which is usually we have our units donate raffle items, and the proceeds of the raffle tickets go towards the scholarships for our graduating seniors at all 4 high schools, including Sherry High. So if anybody has any donations they'd like to donate to a basket, that'll be great, because again, all the money that we sell on the raffle tickets goes towards graduating senior scholarships for our PTA students. And other than that, that's it.
Thank you very much. Okay, we get to introduce a new student representative, so Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I'd like to introduce our new student representative, Mr. Jordan Lee. Jordan is the ASB president at West High School. Fun fact, he's held the position of president since 5th grade. Not all at West High, though. Jordan is also on the varsity basketball and volleyball teams at West. He is a 2-year member of the National Honor Society and a 4-year member of CSF, the California Scholarship Federation. Jordan also represented West High at California Boys State. Outside of school, he's a member of the Torrance Youth Council, an Eagle Scout of Troop 378, and the CEO and founder of a nonprofit that works to mentor youth in San Pedro. In his free time, Jordan enjoys playing guitar, biking at the beach, and perfecting the art of using the Google Drive. He plans to study business management with an emphasis on technology at a 4-year university. Please join me in welcoming Jordan.
All right. Good evening. As Mr. Egan has already said, my name is Jordan Yee, and I'm the ASB president of West High. And tonight it is my pleasure to report on what we have been up to in the last couple of months. So, of course, we had our annual homecoming, which was a successful homecoming with over 900 students in attendance, breaking our previous record at West High for our attendance at our dance. The homecoming game and court announcements were both successful, with Uchenna Maduno and Savannah Starr taking home King and Queen. We also had a very big Los Angeles Virtuoso concert with the maestro Carlo Ponti, and the full LAV Orchestra partnered with our West High Aristocracy in a performance on October 17th, with audience members coming from all over Southern California, including Beverly Hills, Calabasas, and Woodland Hills. Along with this, we had our Skechers Peer-to-Peer Friendship Walk on October 27th, with around a couple hundred walkers, which were both virtual and physical, with a multitude of clubs participating. we had our College and Career Day on October 30th. The seniors were either visiting various campuses, including the University of Technical Institute, or El Camino, or they were working on their college essays. The juniors and sophomores were both taking pre-standardized tests, and the freshmen had the opportunity to visit campuses such as Otis, USC, UCLA, Cal State Dominguez Hills, UC Irvine, and Cal Poly Pomona. In the sports section at West High, we have the boys and girls cross country advancing to the preliminary finals, which will be in November. And we also have a girls golf individual CIF round. She is making it to the 4th out of 5 CIF rounds, Raina Tain, and she will actually be playing this Thursday, November 14th at Brookside. Upcoming events for West High include our annual Powder Puff game and our winter rally. And just something to add here, our goal for 2019 is to bring West High more into community outreach, because we have felt that West High has lacked a presence in the community in the past. So we would like to get West High more involved, and as of now, the first idea or plan in motion we have is to do this fundraising for a children's hospital, because right now the boys basketball head coach has a little cousin who is currently being treated for cancer at this hospital. So our plan is hopefully to either have a donation jar at the games, or we will host a full fundraising week in order to raise money for that hospital. And that is all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee. You are allowed, you have a little button there, or you can probably just elbow Mr. Egan. If we're discussing something and you want to add something to the conversation, you are more than welcome to. Typically, it doesn't happen, but we're still waiting for it to happen the first time. But you can, and you're allowed, and you will not be docked in your grades in any way, shape, or form. So feel free to do that.
Thank you.
So welcome aboard. Next, good student presentations. We'll start with Dr. Kim.
Thank you, President Lee. It's my pleasure to introduce one of our student leaders from Adams Elementary, Brandon Perez. Please come on up to the mic. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone. Also here tonight from Adams Elementary is the proud principal, Mrs. Shayla Toronto. Brandon, please tell us what's happening at Adams.
Okay. Hello, my name is Brandon Perez. I'm a 5th grader at John Adams Elementary School. At our school, we have a group of mentors and role models we call the Patriot Star Leadership Team. Instead of doing student council, where students vote for a person in office, we decided to create a community of leaders that work together for the benefit of the school. We started the Patriot Star Leadership Team to show our school and our students that we are a community, one unit, one team. We have a common goal, to do our best every day for ourselves, each other, and our school community. As a member of the Patriot Star Leadership Team, some of the jobs we have are to help with the school recycling program, run the safety committee, mentor and support students in the primary classroom, and help out at school assemblies. The most important thing is that we are all working together in teams to make our school, John Adams, the best it can possibly be.
Thank you. Mr. Egan.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce, representing Hull Middle School tonight, Salahan. Also representing Hull tonight, we have Principal Mrs. Gerges.
Good evening, board members and cabinet members. My name is Stella Hahn, and I'm currently an 8th grader at J.H. Hull Middle School. I am very grateful to have this opportunity to tell you about our amazing school. It's only been 2 months and a few days since we've been in school, yet time has been flying by with all our activities. Our 2019-2020 school year started off great with our annual Web Day in August. Incoming 6th graders were shown around campus, given tours by our Hull ambassadors. Our teachers also participated and gave the students a heads up on lockers, study habits, planners, and textbooks. It was a fun day and helped the 6th graders with any stress or anxiety they would have felt on the first day. Another exciting thing that happened was that Student Council held its first Spirit Assembly 2 weeks ago. In Student Council, we helped organize games as well as a Spirit Week that went along with Halloween. We had a costume contest and lots of students participated. The winner of the best group actually was a group of 8 kids in dinosaur inflatables. Currently, we are working on decorations and planning our winter dance, the theme being Dancing in the Rain. Another club is our Hull Ambassadors, which are led by Miss Evans. These are students who display our Hawk standards of being respectful, responsible, and safe. We are the role models and often a friendly face for those who are new or need help. Outside of school, Hull has also participated in other events such as the Torrance Regatta. Here, girls involved in STEM spent the day at the Aquatic Center competing against other schools in the cardboard boat race in the pool. One Hull team actually placed third in the race. I was lucky enough to be a part of this day. I learned about buoyancy, teamwork skills, time management, and had lots of fun all around. For all our athletes, recently in the end of October, we had our annual Hull versus Madrona soccer game. It was a great game for the boys and the girls, and we beat Madrona in both. It's not all about the winning, but we still won. However, at Hull, we are competitive and full of Hawk spirit, yet we also try to display our Hawk qualities on the field and off the field. We also had our GATE High Achieving field trip to the San Diego Wild Animal Park. Our high achieving students had the opportunity to go and learn about animals and their ecosystems as well as their impact on the environment. It was a long day, but we learned a lot and had a fun bonding experience. We also have a trip planned in the middle of the year to Palette Institute in San Bernardino, which me and others are looking forward to. Over the weekend of our stay, we will be learning about teamwork, leadership, the science around us, and have a great time outdoors. The biggest news of all, in which everyone is proud of, and Mrs. Gerger specifically wanted me to recognize, is that Hull received the California Distinguished School Award. We strive for academic excellence at Hull, and it has paid off. This is also due to our amazing teachers here at Hull. One of our teachers, Mrs. Wareham, won Teacher of the Year for the LA County. She's a wonderful teacher. I learned a lot for her last year in my math class, and she also helps the student council. Not only do our teachers push us, but at Hull we have an amazing staff, including our Hoxham principal, Mrs. Gerges. She is always there for us with a huge smile on her face, welcoming us to school every morning, always positive and encouraging. Thank you, board members and cabinet members, for giving me this opportunity to tell you about my amazing school, Hull. At Hull, we strive for academics and also to be Hoxham. By being Hoxham, we are respectful, kind, and safe. As an encouragement to strive for these qualities as well, we have a little gift for you that will remind you to be Hoxham. Thank you and have a good night.
Well, I'm the only one up here that truly is, since I graduated from there.
Yeah, but it was a K-8 then.
No, it was a middle school, it was brand new middle school. I was the first graduating class. And there is a rumor that there's a light that's gonna shine on this in front of the school. So, yeah, she has worked out a light. A rumor. So anyway, thank you very much, and we are, well, you know, the kids, you guys probably have homework and stuff, and I'm sure Miss Hahn's mom will take them out to maybe In-N-Out after this, so everything will be good. So the kids and stuff that want to leave now can leave, and the parents associated with that.
Thank you. Yay.
Okay, it is now time for oral communications. The Board of Education welcomes input from the public in order to discuss district business in an orderly manner and for the privacy and safety of our speakers, and to help staff respond more directly. The board policies require that public presentations to the board comply with certain procedures, including speakers to non-agenda items may address only the items that are within the subject matter of the jurisdiction of the board. Time allotted for such presentation is limited to 3 minutes. Total time allotted for public input on non-agenda items is limited to 30 minutes. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another when addressing the board. Speakers are requested to state their name, address the president from the podium, and adhere to the applicable time limits. Complaints against employees, or students will normally be heard in closed session, and the district's complaint procedure should be followed before discussion with the board. The board may remove disruptive individuals and order the room cleared if necessary. Any person who willfully disrupts any public school board meeting is guilty of a misdemeanor. Ed Code 32210. I have one card from Sandy Hutchinson. It's a lot of words to get there.
That was, considering I've heard it before. All right, Mr. President, School Board, and Cabinet. My name is Sandy Hutchinson from Seaside Elementary. I've been a teacher for over 25 years, and I've never heard so many teachers talking about retirement, headaches, crying, and so many sleepless nights. I'm here speaking to you on behalf of all the elementary students in Torrance a veteran Seaside teacher who left last year out of frustration, and all the elementary teachers who are worn out with what we are expected to do in the classroom each and every day. Please help teachers. It's good for students and TUSD. Everything is not okay just because elementary teachers aren't coming to school board meetings or filling your mailboxes. We are exhausted, and it's only November. We're just trying to keep up with the daily struggles of teaching in 2019. The Common Core curriculum is harder. The student calendar is out of whack. The challenging new progress reports, and more special students in our classrooms than ever before. My colleagues wanted me to use special ed students, but it's more complex than that. Some of the special students that we teach on a daily basis are students identified with speech, academic, and behavioral IEPs who do get support. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. What about all the unidentified students who aren't getting extra support? They just get me, a regular education teacher. We have students with 504 plans, attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, English language learners, students below grade level, emotional issues, and more. It makes my head spin just to think about every individual student's need I am supposed to meet every day. Please help teachers. It's good for students and TUSD. We need help. Please ask teachers and listen to the TTA negotiating team, since they are our voice. We are not special education teachers. Please help with smaller class sizes, especially in all classes with lots of special students. Just make sure the Welcome Center knows which classes in schools they should stop adding to. How about a launch kindergarten to gradually integrate the youngest elementary students onto an elementary campus with gradual inclusion for students as they are ready? Overhaul the Learning Center model, putting more special education teachers on campuses with greater need. Add full-time counselors for both teachers and students. Please work with the TTA negotiating team this school year, since they are the voice of the teachers. Thank you for helping teachers. It's good for students and TUSD. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are off to discussion action items. Instructions to the public. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda topics are permitted 3 minutes per topic. Total time granted for public input shall be limited to 30 minutes per topic. The board policies require that public presentation of the board comply with certain procedures, including items 2 through 4 listed in oral communications. Item 10.2, I need a motion and a second, approve the emergency resolution AS-05-1920 authorizing repair of gas lines at North High School.
Move to approve.
Second.
Dr. Stowe.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, members of the board. So an emergency resolution is allowed through the Public Contracts Code. Actually, it allows us to not go through the Public Contracts Code, and when there's a safety condition that is potentially could affect students and staff. And in this particular case, we learned recently that there were some gas leaks at North High School. And what was discovered when we took a look at it is basically half of the campus was done with PVC pipe years ago. This is really something maybe that should have been addressed when we did the Measure Y and Z work over there, but it wasn't an issue at the time. But we do have some leaks, and we need to get it taken care of. And so the hope is that when the board passes this resolution, we've already engaged the services of a consultant to do the design, and upon adoption by the board, we will go through the process to identify, well, we've already identified a contractor, someone that can come in and do the work, hopefully over the Thanksgiving break, that we have that whole week off, and that can take care of this and get the heat on in those classrooms, because 50% of a high school with no heat is not the best thing when winter's coming. So again, the emergency resolution process allows us to not do the formal bid and job walk and all those other things. We identify someone that we've worked with in the past that we know is capable of doing this work, and we engage their services.
Yeah, we don't need any unexpected heat over there. So, anyway, good. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good,
Please
okay.
fix it.
Item 10.3, nominations for the California School Boards Association, CSBA Delegate Assembly in a couple of weeks in San Diego. Mrs. Reagan, you typically understand this better than most.
Well, actually, this is a call for, I believe, for our board to make nominations from our body if
Right.
we would choose to do so.
Yes.
So if someone would like to be a part of that delegate assembly, any of the new folks, if you'd be interested in getting your feet wet and jumping in.
There's usually, like one or two things
two
to vote
meetings,
on?
actually, in a year.
Yeah,
Mark
two.
Stephan was our last.
Yeah, Mark was the last one who served for
Two in
us.
Sacramento?
Usually there's one in Northern California and one in Southern California.
Do you know
So-
what time of year those are?
There's usually one right before convention, and then the other one is going to be in the spring. So.
And we'll pay for your airplane ticket. We have budget for that now.
It's actually, people who have done it have found it to be very rewarding, and then you can bring information back as to what CSBA is doing. But you do have to submit documents, et cetera, to be part of the process. Anybody?
Mr. Gerson, you showed interest?
He did, kind of.
I'll volunteer. I volunteer as tribute.
So check out the nomination process.
Okay.
And you'll need to work through that with Shelley in Dr. Mannon's office and
Do
get
we
your
need a formal
documents.
motion to?
Yeah, we certainly
So I'll
do.
make a motion to appoint Mr. Gerson as our representative to CSBA.
One
To-
correction, Mr. Lee. Could you use the word nominate?
Yeah,
Oh, to appoint.
To-
Appoint.
to nominate
To
him.
nominate.
And then he will be actually part of an election process after this. So
Can
it's
he
not an
possibly
automatic.
lose?
You could.
He could, depending on how many folks run in our area and as candidates for being on the delegate assembly.
Still want to do it? You feeling lucky?
Hey,
Okay,
How
good.
about if you look at it, and we will go ahead and make the motion.
And then if you don't want to do
Yeah.
it, then don't do it. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So I make a motion to submit nominate him for the CSBA board. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. We've made it to the consent calendar, so again, you folks that want to leave, you can go, or you can stay to the end because it's really exciting. But,
And Mr. Gerson, they have to be in by January 7th, so.
oh, okay, good. Okay,
Just so you
good.
know.
We have now gotten to the part of the agenda that appears to be the consent calendar. So we are pulling 12.7 off the agenda. So is there anything else that anybody wants to pull?
Not this time.
17.7. Anybody else? Do we have a motion to approve all of it except for 17.7 and 12.7?
12.7 has already been.
Oh, that's right. So everything but 17.7.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Hahn, 17.7.
And so 17.7 has to do with the allowing the USA water polo team to use the aquatic center. And so I guess for me is that, first of all, I'm really glad that we're actually getting to participate with the USA water polo team to use the aquatic center. I think that the issue that I have with this is obviously we're making a stipulation based upon our rate. We're changing our rates for the sake of the USA water polo team. We're not giving them our normal rates for the usage of the facility itself. And I think that I'm pleased with that because of the fact that I think that we have added value because we have the recognition of partnering with our national team for the Olympics itself. But I guess what I'm hoping is that we can extend this, though, to other opportunities as well. I'm not sure what the criteria is that we establish this, like how do we say who do we get special rates to and who we do not get special rates to? And so it just seems like a one-person person, and so I'm glad that we have that, but I want that person to know, or to know that if there's great opportunities, let's just utilize that more and more. And I think that that's going to be hard. I know that if we make an exception here, then people are going to say, well, you made an exception there, why can't we do it here? So I hope that we can create some kind of guideline too, at least for us, so that we know the way that we can communicate this as well. Because if we get asked, and so like, is there any way, let's say that we want to have this event or this team or whatever, and not only just for the pool, but obviously with all the gyms, with all the stuff that's going on, are you going to do all those negotiations for all those situations?
Dr. Stowe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hahn. In this instance, this is what we would term as a short-term lease of our facility. We utilized the USA men's national team last spring, utilized the aquatic center for about 6 weeks. This is now the United States Olympic men's water polo team, so it's very exciting. They're going to be there from beginning December 13th, I believe, through July 11th of next year. Not the entire time. There are periods during that time frame where they're going to be traveling internationally, competing, going other places. We will be hosting a game, and you'll all get that, with Serbia, with the USA versus Serbia on December 20th, I believe is the date. Very exciting, one of the top water polo teams in the world. And so, as far as rates go, this is something that we negotiated last year, and so it's the same rate that we had agreed upon last year, a daily rate, and it's in line with what the USA water polo team was paying at other venues, and so again, we saw it as a win-win. In addition to them practicing and training here, they'll also be doing, as they did last year, allowing our students to watch their practices when they're there from the deck. They ran a couple clinics for us last year, and so that's certainly an option that we can do this year, scheduling permitted. And so there's other value-added things. They're leaving behind some equipment and balls and other kinds of things that our kids can use.
My question is, though, is there a schedule that's already set up so that, what if there's a conflict with scheduling?
Yes, we worked through all those details prior to bringing it to the board. So John Williams and I, the supervisor at the pool, he and I met with John Abdu, who's the Chief Performance Officer with USA Water Polo, as well as their PR person, and we went through all the dates and worked with the high school principals and the coaches to make sure that any conflicts that did exist, that we'll be able to resolve those.
Mr. Hahn, as I understood your question and comment too, I think the difference is this is a lease. So let me give you some other examples. We lease south and west for Chinese-Japanese school. So that's negotiations where we negotiate a lease. Torrance Education Foundation for summer school, use of classrooms, that's a negotiations and a lease. It's not a flat rate when we go into leasing our facilities for that.
So it's for longer term. If somebody wanted to use the facility for 2 days, you would just then fall back on our daily rate or whatever it may be.
Correct.
Exactly.
And Dr. Stowe, aren't we kind of looking at all of that right now, and there'll be something coming back to the board as far as field use and usages and stuff like that we're going to see probably sooner?
Yes. Yeah,
So-
we're gathering all the information about all of our facility usage, gyms, auditoriums, fields, all of that kind of information that will be brought back.
Yeah, so we'll have a chance to talk about that at that point and probably be able to dive in really deep on some of those issues, because I agree with Mr. Hahn that having a good policy it sets expectations that we don't end up with hurt feelings or something down the road. So good, thank you.
Mr. Lee, just a quick comment, too. One of the things I asked Dr. Stowe to do, too, which is working with a consultant, because when we get into, and I think all your comments are good with what has been said, but I think you have to decide on what level of fields you want. So part of Dr. Stowe's report, is it a play field you want? Is it a competition field you want? And you have to, I think, start, and this is a little bit like we did when we were working in construction. What is it you want, with that? Are they all just play fields? Because play fields are very different from a competition field. And there are, in the world of architecture, I think I still recall that there are like 4 levels of fields. And so what I asked Dr. Stowe to do is, when he brings back that full report for you, is also to do a discussion, I can lead it, he can lead it, with you in what do you want fields to be? Because you have to have a vision of what you want those fields to be before you really realize how you want to go about, and the cost that Mr. Lee was talking about. So there could be differential costs based on the conditions of the different fields. So it is complicated, but I think the board has to decide really what the vision is and what you want for fields.
That's good, okay, do we have a motion and a second?
Hold on, we got
No,
lights.
we have more, I'm sorry, Mr. Gerson and then Mrs. Reagans.
Back to this item. First, thank you, Dr. Mannon, and thank you, Dr. Stowe. This started when you brought the women's water polo team to play China.
A year
ago, which was amazing.
That was good.
It was. And then Dr. Stowe continued with the negotiations, bringing the national team, the water polo team here. And as I've told Dr. Stowe over and over and again, the fact that that we knew they're going to be Olympians because they are the best in the world at the sport. High hopes to see them in the gold medal game this year, this summer in Tokyo. But that you worked out with them, and it was important to them that they allow our students to practice. They get to sit on the deck and watch them. They get to be on a first-name basis with Olympians. I cannot put a price that our kids get to be on that first-name basis with an Olympian. The inspiration, the working, with world-class athletes, what you've brought to our students is amazing. And I appreciate that you were able to work out a lease agreement that was satisfactory to them as well, and that it's mutually beneficial. So thank you very much for doing that.
Mrs. Reagans.
I had a question actually in a little different vent. So if we're looking at short-term leases, you're saying that each of those will still have to be individually, completely negotiated from scratch? Or that we will create a sort of a fee schedule or a range, or how will we proceed with that?
I think the board will have to make that decision.
Okay.
The history in the district, quite frankly, the history in all the districts where I've been superintendent, if it was a lease, which is different than short-term usage, it was negotiated with whoever the leasee wanted to be. So you can do it that way, or you can say, we're going to lease classrooms at $1.90 a square foot.
And that's what it's going to be.
And that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So, but it's a board discussion.
Okay.
And I think, just
Yes,
just
Mr.
to add
Hahn.
to that, that's why I think I'm asking that question, because of the fact that, so our church, we lease a school district, LUSD.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a year lease, and there is the rate, right? There's no ands, ifs, or but. We have to go whatever that rate is, and that rate's consistent with everything. So I'm sure right now, we rent out our gyms to churches on weekends, and so I'm sure they all have a consistent rate, right?
Right,
And so,
exactly.
But it seems to me that this short-term lease for the water polo team was a special rate, and I think that's why, again, I'm fully okay with it. I think that's a
Right.
good thing. I want him to have that freedom to negotiate that rate. I think that we need more opportunities like that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
at
No,
that point.
and I agree with your comments. The Japanese school, Chinese school has, in the history of since I've been here anyway, in the history of the district, it's always been negotiated with those folks in terms of what the rates were, because it was a lease agreement. TES,
Right, and the rates kind of depend on what the needs of the user are.
Yeah.
So specifically, the Japanese school, they've designated exactly how many custodians they want on a regular basis, every Saturday. And so we did the same with the Ed Foundation of kind of designing, okay, what is it that you're looking to do? How often do you need rooms clean? How many, the kinds of level of service that they want? And then we build the rate around that, as well as the number of classrooms and other facilities that are used.
I know this is going to be an if I don't maybe add one more thing on these lease issues. So I guess the question I have too, are there policies in place? For example, recently, we had a new requirement for our lease where there's $1 million insurance policy for sexual abuse. So anybody that's working with any minors on any campus has to have that kind of a policy rate. Is that true for our district as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, on leases, we don't, in individual, contractors and all that kind of stuff, yes, we have all of those protections in place.
Including PTA.
To the extent of 12,000 exclusions in the liability policy, yes. I'm always scared when people say that, but that's okay. Okay, so we don't have a motion in a second, so I need that.
No, we do.
Oh, we do, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. We have made it all the way down to information. The board calendar is attached. There's a report of the sales of the bonds for Measure T. The cost of issuance was less than anticipated. Less is always good in that case. And comments from members of the board. I will call on Mrs. Reagan's first for her orals and/or stuff on
SoCal Rock. Well, we haven't had another SoCal Rock meeting, so I have nothing to add on that, but I do have a few other things that I wanted to address this evening. The first is a classified personnel anniversary increments. I wanted to honor these folks who have reached those years of service that we want to recognize. For 10 years of accredited service, we have Curtis Boyer, Ann Marcus, and Demisha Shepard. For 15 years of accredited service, we have Donna Ain, I almost said that wrong, Jose Cisco, Jason Corcoran, Suzanne Huntling, Richard Vell, Carl Jeffries, Irina Mitchell, Edgar Ragoza, Maria Santion, Alexis Saunders, and Lawrence Shaw Sr. Actually, I know him at Magruder. Good guy. And then for 20 years of accredited service, we have some folks, Debbie Dungy, Silva Griggs, and Pamela Lewis. So those folks are serving our students each and every day in our schools, and thank you so much for doing that and taking care of our schools and our kids. In the consent calendar, I did want to recognize a few resolutions that we passed, just to make sure people are aware of them. First and foremost, we are recognizing the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. Yay, women are voting. It was passed in 1919 and then ratified in August of 1920. So 100 years of women voting. Girl power. Then we also have November 11th to the 15th is School Psychology Awareness Week. So if you know any school psychologists, thank them for what they're doing, and for all of those folks out there, including our classroom teachers who are dealing with the mental health issues, et cetera, of our classroom students. Thank you for doing that and being aware of those needs in addition to everything else that you mentioned, Sandy. And then the third resolution was something actually that I asked to have included this time. It's a new one for us. It's a resolution recognizing November 2019 as Homeless Youth Awareness Month. We do have a significant population of homeless youth in Torrance, and in fact, we are trying to address their specific needs that are different than the rest of our student population. And hope that we can assist them. And Project Hope that Denise Spellman was talking about, that Torrance Council of PTAs is operating, has to do with trying to meet those needs too. I did want to identify another item had to do with the Torrance Refining Company Innovation Education Grant Program. They offer opportunities for teachers to write grants about really creative educational opportunities for students in their classrooms. We have 24 teachers who were given a green light on 23 total project applications to the tune of $85,000 coming into our classrooms for our students. And thank you so much for the Torrance Refining Company for doing that for our kids, and for those teachers who took the time and effort to write those grants. And I see a lot of them actually when I go on campus, and it's really nice to see those educational experiences for our kids. And last but not least, a couple of things that happened in our district in the last week. The Torrance Unified Parent Conference, Fostering Academic Success for English Learners, grades K through 12, happened at Hamilton Adult School recently, and it had a full gamut of educational and experiential opportunities for our English language, for DELMAC, our District English Language Multicultural Advisory Committee folks. There was a really nice turnout, and I didn't get to see Katie's welcome, but there were a lot of folks interested in being there and participating in the day. And I know it takes a lot of time and effort to put that together, so thank you for doing that. And I got to see the first ever North High School drama presentation in their new Performing Arts Center, and it was Seussical the Musical. It was really fun, and they had elementary kids come and actually see the show from the area and be able to enjoy, some of them, for their first stage ever theatrical performance. So that was really exciting too.
Hopefully it inspires them to be involved when they go to high school.
Absolutely. And I think that's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Liu.
That's good. This past Sunday, I had the pleasure of attending the FL. All right, thank you. This past Sunday, I had the pleasure of attending the FLL robotics qualifying tournament at West High School. There were about 24 schools from LA County that competed. And I want to point out that it's very interesting that the FLL robotics tournament judged the teams based on 3 components. One is obviously the robot, another is a project, and the third one is core values. For the robot, that's pretty self-explanatory, but for the project, this year's theme was City Shaper, and this allowed, this asked for the teams to come up with some idea, either an idea or a piece of invention that helps the city in some ways. So for example, it's a very broad theme, and some of the ones that I saw was adding in a dog park for the city of Torrance, for example, to other water conservation issues and mechanism that would save water and help improve the environment and all that. It was very interesting. And the other component, core values, actually judge the students on inspiration, teamwork, and gracious professionalism. And lastly, I'm happy to report the results. We have several teams from Torrance that won some prizes and we got some recognitions. Team called Widget 5 got second place in robot design. Widget 3 got second place in core values, and they're also advancing to the LA Regional Championship on December 15th in La Cañada. Widget 4 got second place in robot performance, and they were also this last Sunday's event champion. They will also advance to the LA Regional Championship on December 15th. I want to say congratulations to those teams and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hahn.
Turn this thing on. First of all, I just want to thank everyone that participated in the Skechers Walk again. It was a great event, and so I always thought I couldn't be there, but I know that a lot of people, we raised a lot of money. So thank you, TEF, thank you, Skechers, for a wonderful, always a good thing when we raise money for our kids and for our schools in every way. But today I kind of want to make one last acknowledgement is I want to thank Dawn for your leadership for this past year, being a new board member. I can't believe it's been a year. And so this is the last one. All right, this is it, man. This is it. And so,
That's good.
but I think that as a new board member, what a wonderful role model both Terry and Dawn have been for, at least for us three newbies who are, going into this. But I want to thank you just for your leadership, your guidance, and just for all that you did for this past year.
You're here.
Well, thank you. Mr. Gerson.
Thank you, Don. Today I brought with me the family cell phone agreement. I want to thank Torrance pediatrician Wynn H. Wynn for bringing this to my attention. I'll share it on my Facebook page. So this is the family cell phone agreement. It was produced by Josh Shipp with 2 Ps. And there's so much talk about cell phones and how parents give it to them, and then there's disputes later because they may not use it appropriately, and then parents try to take it away, or parents try to access information to make sure that it's all okay, and they get pushback from their teens. So this is a nice way to set up the ground rules up front to make sure that they don't do anything that compromises themselves or their parents financially or reputation-wise, and it's really well put together. And I will support what Dr. Crumpy said, which is our children and tweens don't need them. But our teens, this is a tool that can help parents. I also wanted to thank Congressman Ted Lieu for granting us the opportunity to see the James Webb Telescope with our own eyes. Mrs. Reagans and Mrs. Lieu were also there. After 15 years of taking kids to math counts and seeing videos and hearing about the production and all the materials, it was nice to actually see it with my own eyes and get to hear from the project leads. I also wanted to let everyone know about 2 issues that I asked staff to look into this month. So now all of our middle schools have gyms, and many of them have students changing for PE. My daughter, like most 6th graders, was very apprehensive at first. And with no female PE teachers, the principal, being a female, was in and made my daughter feel extremely comfortable. But I know that other middle schools handle things differently. I also know as a teacher, I never left students in my classroom unless you have to take a student out for specific reasons like privacy. But we don't leave students unattended in the classroom, and so my curiosity is how does that apply to middle school locker rooms? So I've been told that Mr. Egan is going to do some research and return some recommendations at a later date. Is that still true? Another thing, with my wonderful new job, thank you to the YMCA, I've been able to take my kids to school every morning. And so it's really allowed me the opportunity to watch how students come and go from schools. All the duty that I did out in front of school, there was a kid hit on a bicycle practically every year. And unfortunately, I had to see a couple of those happen in slow motion where there's nothing I could do to prevent it. And so as I was watching, our students don't seem to know how they should operate a vehicle on the streets. And one of the biggest things is going the wrong direction. I have seen students go flying by as a car making a left turn at a signal has to look very far behind them or hit a kid. They're not expecting a bicycle to come. They're looking for pedestrians. And I've seen on the opposite side where there's a concrete wall and students flying by on a bike and a person looking at traffic and luckily turns her head and she slams on her brakes as the bike goes in front, grabs her chest, then she starts to go again, and it's when the second bike comes flying out and goes around behind her. And so I know Dr. Stone, Dr. Crumpy have talked about with me what the fire department does for and our bike rodeos as well. So I know that the two of them, one of them is going to get back to us later about what we've done on that issue too. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr., is your light on? Yeah.
I forgot one thing.
Okay.
Quick thing. This Friday, we start our vaping town halls. I almost forgot that. I wanted to make sure I
Thank you for
mentioned
bringing
that.
that up.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
right. So I wanted to make sure that we are aware. So North High starts tomorrow.
South High.
South High, tomorrow. So that's the first one out of the 4, so I wanted to make sure that everyone knows.
We'll be there.
We want you to make sure that you're there. If you can be there, it'll be great. And so I almost totally forgot about that, so I wanted to make sure I could put a plug in.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn, for the kind words, but I was going to say something about it. Funny thing about Facebook will, show you your memories from a year ago or 20 years ago, or who knows. I will not outlive all of those memories, I am sure. But one of the things that brought up was, about a year ago, we had the last board meeting of the previous board. And, kind of like this one, nothing too eventful, but it got me to thinking about the concerns that I had with 3 new board members. It was a little choppy. We didn't know each other. I'd met Mr. Gerson in my office once. Didn't really go very well, but I'd met him once in my office. And certainly had met James a number of times in the community, and Betty and I had shared more than one bottle of Silver Oak at an undisclosed location. But anyway, so, it's okay. But I really want to thank everybody, including Terry, that we've kind of bumps here and there, but we've kind of formed into a team. That doesn't mean we all vote the same or think the same way. But I think as a group, we're very respectful of one another. I think we have set that as the standard, and I think it was a standard that previous boards had set. Not all elected bodies in the United States at this point understand how important that is. And I think that the community should be proud of this board. Again, it's a much more diverse board than when we had before. It's got different people. It's much younger. Everybody's much younger than me, but it's younger, and I think it's probably more representative of the greater Torrance community as far as students and kids and stuff. And the 3 new folks have brought a number of new ideas and new ways to look at things that makes me feel very optimistic looking into the future. We can talk about things like how we're going to use our fields. We can talk about communication plans. We can talk about, kind of getting the last bit of the bond stuff cleared up. Even administrative things, kind of like what we're banging out, today. But there seems to be a willingness to work together to get it worked out and come to a resolution on everything. And I really, you guys have exceeded every expectation I had. I now have 3 new friends, and really kind of look forward to a year from now when this will be my last meeting to see what you guys are going to do with this district.
Moving on, yeah.
Because I think you guys are all going to do good things, and great things. So I just kind of wanted to say that because I will not get that opportunity at our next meeting. So that's it. And we will adjourn in memory of retired instructional assistant Wanda Johns, lunch, educational assistant Miriam Tabrizi, and retired high school teacher Judith Sacaloni. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good.